Oh, this was me. The modern day marketer, if this is you, it's like you just got really good at like juggling and wearing a bunch of hats. Like you show up on that live, you do your dance, ba 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 ba, and then you're like, okay, now I got to go build out the landing page and set up my checkout page, and then I got to send out that email because I got this, but I got another post for Instagram, and you got really good at staying really busy doing a million different things. That's wonderful. How sustainable is that? You look good on front of the stage, but you were like me, and the moment we peek behind the curtain, it's a freaking mess. The problem with this is we're still not running a business like a business at this phase. The business is running you, and it's really not that sustainable. We haven't really learned how to run the business like a business. We just got like a really good marketing strategy or tactic down, okay? So the last level, that is an impact of 3 because you're crushing it, you're doing scalable things, it's good, but we want to get you here, which is that new role, that new identity of the digital CEO. The digital CEO is where, no matter if you're in your first phase of business or the 4th phase, which I'm going to teach in training too, we need to be operating from this identity from day 1. They know how to run a business. The digital CEO is in the driver's seat of their business. They know what metrics matter in their business. They know what to focus on. They value their time because they know what their time is worth. They know what their 5% activities are. They know how to move the levers in their business. They've made business simple again, and they've looked at their business like a machine. When you do this, when you have a level of elegance and simplicity, you get your time, your freedom, your frickin' life back. And this will require a radically different approach to how you think about business. How you see business will determine what is possible for you. That is the digital CEO. That is what we love teaching and sharing. You're noticing I'm already introducing you to kind of counterintuitive concepts. Some of you get like a little overwhelmed or intimidated. I'm sorry someone promised you that if you have a computer, you can just turn it into an ATM with a click of a button. This is about building a business that actually produces income, but also the freedom and lifestyle. But it will take something. And we're going to show you how that's done. Everything that we're designed to do is wherever you find yourself here is designed to get you here. And that will happen by the end of the training if you stick with us. Because little by little, these breakthroughs start to happen, these changes begin to occur, and you start making progress. Now, of course, there's going to be the part of the brain that doesn't like that you're growing, doesn't like that you're changing. It's going to want to keep you safe where you are. It loves that familiarity. So you have to be conscious and willing enough to look at the progress that you're making, even one frickin' step at a time. And right now, that little voice in your head is probably saying something like, oh my gosh, I'm just not ready for this. I'm not ready for this training. This is so intimidating. Oh my gosh. But I want to point something out about this readiness thing. I'm going to go back to the board because this, I get this. So check this out. If that is you, I've been there. I'm not ready. I get it. I'm an intense guy. Here's this little voice in our head saying I'm not ready. Obviously, there's a secondary gain here in that you keep holding on and feeding this is going to keep you safe. But notice the criteria that we use, or your brain uses, to decide that I'm not ready. They're all external factors. I said growth happens from within, but we're using all these external factors and variables like the size of our list or our audience, or the number of certifications that we have, or the amount of testimonials that we have. You can't read my writing, but you get it. And it's all these external things. Have you noticed that? Please let me know in the chat box that it's these external things that are sometimes outside of our control that don't change until we change, that we then say, this is who I am, this is who I'm not. And I'm not ready. How long have you been saying, I'm not ready for? How many of you started to realize that the whole readiness conversation is a complete illusion as it is? How many of you notice it's just a way in which your ego will do a really good job of keeping you safe where you are? How many of you noticed that no matter what you've done, you still don't feel ready? What if I told you it's not a matter of how ready you think you are or how ready you feel you are? It's just a matter of one very simple thing: how committed you're willing to be. And I can promise you this, because wherever you find yourself, I was there once too. Anyone with a successful business started at the beginning as well. I did not inherit an online business from my parents. They didn't have the internet. in their day. So I started this from the ground up, just like you can as well. And as long as you're willing to be 100% committed to what? Your future, your financial success, to a new life for you, your family, and anything else that matters, this all becomes possible. And I'm not here to give you the, rose-colored glasses cheerleader pitch. I'm here to show you what it actually takes. But I've also, because of that, developed a reputation that when people work with us is when they start getting results. Why? Because we're going to start focusing on the right things and doing them the right way. That's the way of the digital CEO. So you guys let me know, damn that ego, if you are. Because if you're not yet, then if you're not committed, that's totally fine, but you shouldn't be wasting your time. You should be doing what you are committed to. And people are either committed to their future or they're committed to their fears. You're committed to your familiar safety and comfort zone, or you're committed to a new vision and future for your life. That is a choice. Life is choice. You get to choose that any moment. And you can choose commitment uncontingent of any external variable, no matter where you find yourself in your life. Okay? Love it. Fuck the ego. That's so good. Okay, so with all that being said, I want to jump into 3 specific things now that we see our most successful students doing differently that starts to really anchor and ground how running a business is different than how most people are approaching it and how our digital CEOs are doing it differently. But before we do that, I want to do something really exciting. This is really fun. I kind of teased this at the beginning. We have this really special tradition that we do each and every year. It's the BBD Case Study Contest, where hundreds of our students submit a video telling their inspirational story of the growth that they've had, and then everyone in the Business by Design community votes for their favorite, and the final 6, and here they are, make it. And over the next 3 trainings, so today, next Tuesday, and Thursday, we're going to introduce you to 2 at a time. And at the end of that, you're going to have 3 votes. You get to choose 3. So you got to choose your top 3. That's a little easier than just choosing 1. If you only had 1, that would be awful. Like, good luck to you. You have 3 votes. You're going to choose your most inspiring case studies. And at the end of this training, we are going to walk away crowning our 2023 case study contest winner. They're going to get $5,000 cash. They're going to get a VIP day with me in Sedona, Arizona. They're going to get featured on my podcast, and they're going to get access to my $10,000 coaching program, BBD Next Level, and probably a ton of high fives. So here's what we're going to do really quick. I'm going to introduce you to the first of 2 of those videos today. So take a moment, listen through what it is that they've done to get to where they are in such a short amount of time. See if, because success does leave some clues. See if you can pull out and extract some of those clues that they're leaving behind as they share their stories. So team, can we queue up our first case study with Meg Burrage right now?
Hello guys, Meg Burrage here. I am an Australian mum of 3. I'm 41 years old and we currently live in the Netherlands. Now, I joined Business by Design in October of 2018. So I've been at this now for a little over 4 years. And when I joined BBD, I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do in the online space. I was 3 months pregnant and I had about $100,000 worth of debt because I'd just come out of a failed brick and mortar business where I'd gone and created a co-working space with childcare that turned out to be a complete flop. So I was back in corporate in a 9-to-5 job that I absolutely hated, and I gave myself maternity leave as the time frame to go away and create a new business that was actually going to generate money so that I could leave that corporate job. Now, thankfully, when I started with Business by Design, I was introduced to Kajabi, the software. I'd never heard of it. And I decided to focus my whole business around helping other entrepreneurs get the most out of the Kajabi platform. Now, I was 3 months pregnant with Ilsa when I joined, and 9 months later, I found out that we were pregnant with little Helena. So she was our surprise 3rd baby, but thankfully it wasn't a stressful time because my business was on track to making 6 figures annually, and I had all the freedom and flexibility in the world. Now, we actually spent the last 4 months working from Anguilla in the Caribbean, which was an amazing experience. And I've done all sorts of things inside of my business. I started with Done For You services. I created a group coaching program. I took on one-on-one clients, and I brought out a range of Kajabi templates that alone generate over 6 figures in my business passively every year. I've been fortunate enough to run joint webinars with Kajabi with over 1,000 people registered. I've been on their podcast, and I even went and created my own podcast, The Kajabiverse. I partnered up with the lovely Kimmy Brown for the Heart-Centered Apprentice program, where we train other Kajabi specialists and help them to create these flexible businesses similar to what we've done with our own. And now I've got this brand new project, Collaboration Station, which is a directory for creators in the online space, not necessarily Kajabi users, anybody in the online space who is looking to collaborate, to help them reach a bigger audience when they are launching their program. So whether that's speaking in summits or contributing to bundles or just straight affiliate opportunities. So guys, that's just a little bit of my own story and what I've been up to. I hope that inspires you and encourages you. It's just me inside of my business. It generates now over $300,000 in revenue annually. And that's just a little glimpse of what is possible if this is the path that you are on.
Awesome. Okay, can we give a virtual round of applause in the chat box for Meg, our first of 6 finalists for the case study contestants? There's a lot on the line. Awesome. And we have one more that we're going to introduce you today. So team, can we queue up that video from Beck Miller?
Hi BBD, my name is Beck. I'm from Australia, but I'm sitting in Rome in Italy at the moment for the 3rd time in 10 months, and this is all because of Business by Design. It's all because of James Wedmore. Basically what I do really quickly, I'll try to do this as quick as I can. I don't know how I'm going to do it in 3 minutes. I have not prepared for this. I've only just found out about the competition, but I know that my story can inspire so many of you guys because it's all because of James. And if I can do this, so can you guys. So basically, I've had my business for 7 years. I am a nutritionist and I help women slim down and lose the bloat without the hunger. I sell a signature program called my 3-Week Body Reset and also run a membership for women who get results from that and then want to continue and turn it into a lifestyle. So I started my business 7 years ago, but I was only seeing clients back then, and then I changed to selling digital products after about 3.5 years. But I quickly found myself overworked, working far too many hours. I was working from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed. I hadn't outsourced hardly anything, and I just was just in a state of complete overwhelm, and I was not enjoying my life outside of work. It was quickly turning my health not very good. I had chronic insomnia, and I just didn't know how to let go. I didn't know that it was possible to let go, and I thought that, what am I doing? I've created a business that I enjoy, but how am I going to go on holiday one day? How am I going to have a family one day? How am I going to actually do things outside of life? So anyway, I found James, and my life has just completely changed. And I always cry every time I say this story, but my life has completely changed since I have been honestly brainwashed by not only James's podcasts, but BBD as well. So long story short, this is so hard to say shortly, but to give you guys a few quick figures and also my hours of work, I am working half the amount of time. I'm doing all the things that bring me joy and that actually help the business grow. So since joining Business by Design, in my first year, I really systemized everything. I hired more team members, and that gave me the chance and time to actually create a podcast, which is now in the top charts in Australia. Also, really quickly, just my figures. In year 1 of Business by Design, I brought in about $150,000. In year 2, which was last year, the business brought in $400,000, and I was able to travel for the first time in my life and step away and only work 5-hour days. Now, this year, I'm doing $400,000 months. So I've hit $1 million this year. That's a 65% profit margin, and I'm living the life of my absolute dreams. And it's all thanks to BBD.
Awesome. And that was Beck Miller. If we could give a virtual round of applause for Beck. Amazing. And we have 4 more incredible and very inspiring stories and case study finalists coming your way over the course of the next 2 trainings. So stay tuned for that, because on the last one, you got to vote. You got to vote. You got to pick this year's winner. I don't want to do it. I can't handle that kind of stress or pressure. That's up to you guys. So you're going to get to know them as well. I'm also going to bring them on live, so you're going to get to hang out with them as well. But let's get into this. We're going to talk about the three of the most important things that our successful digital CEOs are doing differently. I'm going to leave this up here for just a moment. Here's number one. They know their numbers. Do you feel like you know your numbers? How well do you feel like you know your numbers in your business? We call these the metrics that matter. These are the KPIs, the few amounts of numbers. You don't need to be a math person. I know when you were in like the 7th grade, your math teacher said you're no good at math. You developed a story. But the reality is business is numbers. And you can't grow what you don't measure. And when you don't know what to focus on, how you ever expected to measure it, let alone grow it. And here's what happens. Instead of understanding numbers and being at the driver's seat and having everything at your fingertips so you know what levers to pull and what levers to adjust, most people just use their emotions. And they use their feelings. And because our thoughts mirror our feelings, we get a lot of distorted thoughts that take us down emotionally. Let me give you an example. This is one of the most common things. And if you get this is going to be really powerful. And as we progress through the training, you're going to actually walk away knowing what the only small handful of numbers you'll ever need to know in your business are, and you can be in the driver's seat of all of them. So, something happens, like stuff or shit, and it happens. So maybe you did your launch, you did your promotion, you did your thing. I'll get on this side so you guys can see me a little better this way. You did it, right? Now, let me make this a real example for you, because this is a very common one. I'll have a client or a student come to me, and they will tell me how they're feeling. How's it going? They're like, really bad, not good. And I'll say, why? And they'll talk about the launch result. So they made a certain number. I'm just going to make up a number. They made $2,000. Okay? But their goal was, let's say, $10,000. So they had a goal of $10,000. They made the $2,000. And they're coming to me. I'm upset. I'm angry. I'm disappointed. I'm beating myself up. I'm eating a shame sandwich every day for breakfast and wash it down with a shame smoothie. And then I go and I look at their numbers. And the numbers tell a very different story than what they've been telling themselves. Because what entrepreneurs do so good at is they look at what they wanted, they look at what they got, but at the end of the day, all they focus on is the gap. The gap of where they were versus where they wanted to be. And then they create an entire world of meaning of I failed, I suck, I'm no good at this, and that leads us to feeling this. So this happened with a client. They were feeling all this over here because this happened. And I went and looked at the numbers. Did the numbers say that they sucked? Did the numbers say that they failed, that they're a loser? Not even in the slightest. The numbers told a very different story. The numbers told that they were actually in the top 10% of performance metrics, that they had actually converted extremely well. They just had one little problem. They didn't get a lot of people in. I mean, if you only have 100 people join your stuff, your free stuff, or your webinar, or your launch, or your challenge, or your funnel, what do you expect? You can't have more than 100 people join, right? So you're limited by the amount of people in. As soon as I pointed out these metrics to them, in an instant, they went from I failed, I suck, I'm a loser, to, hey, I actually did a really good job. And now I've built something. And now that I've built something, I can do it again. And that's what we're going to talk about in the third thing about building your business like a machine. So when you learn the language of numbers, you'll be in the driver's seat and you'll be able to interpret your numbers, and they will tell a very different story than the thoughts that we just tell ourselves. Everything that we're doing is like an experiment, so you need to be a scientist. And so when you're the scientist, the goal is just the hypothesis. And then you get the result. And from the result, you have the data. And the data-driven decisions is what will get you to grow in your business. So every single time that you go after anything, here's what I want you to remember. You go after anything We're afraid of failure. I get that. But failure is an interpretation. Write that down. Failure is an interpretation. It's a label. It's an opinion. And anytime you go after anything, this is you going after something, you're going to get one of two things. Either the result that you wanted, or better, high five, or the thing that you needed, the lesson. You go after anything, you're either going to get what you wanted or you're going to get what you needed. Here's the funny thing. If you get what you needed, first of all, this is what you needed in order to get the result that you wanted, which is why you didn't get the results you wanted. So you got the thing you needed so that you could get the thing that you wanted, which is why your success is inevitable. But you also get to take this with you. And this, I will tell you, my friends, is far, far, far more valuable than this, because you take this everywhere you go moving forward. And this will ultimately lead you here. Stop running your business like you're trying to be the first person ever that didn't fail or make a mistake, when you realize that failure is an interpretation and label that hides the lesson you need to get to where you want to go. Let me know that that made sense, please. Because the quicker we can do this, the quicker we can do this. And it's through understanding and knowing your numbers that you will learn the lessons so you can go where you want to go. We're going to start that process right now. I'm going to have you pull out your workbooks if you don't have it out, and you're going to pull out your CEO dashboard. Boom! Jumbo size right there. I got the big one for you right here on the screen. We're going to have some fun. The goal, again, as I said earlier, is for you to walk away with a completed full page so you know exactly what your business is on a single piece of paper. Simple. I love this quote. If you want to impress people, make it complicated, but if you actually want to help them, make it simple. I am really good at making things simple. Stick with me and you will see that to be true. We can put your entire business on one page. Stephen Covey said, 7 habits of highly effective people. Number 2, begin with the end in mind. So we must begin with the end in mind. There's a great story. By the way, let me do this first. I'm going to ask you at the end of this story to put a number right here. If you already have that number, put it down. This is your next goal, milestone, or iteration of the business. I'm going to tell the story and I'm going to ask it again. So if that number is already coming to you, you can put it down at any time that you would like. But I'm going to tell one of my favorite stories. This is the story of Tom Watson. He was the CEO of IBM in its heyday, like before my time, right? So when he became the CEO, it was like, you know, like a couple of $1 million, and then they like built it to some crazy gajillion billion-dollar company. And when he retired, one of those reporters that's never been an entrepreneur or a business owner asked one of those like silly, stupid, superficial questions like, Mr. Watson, what's the secret to your success? You know, like as if there's just some magical secret, right? Well, there is. And he gave a freaking answer. And when I heard this answer, it changed everything for me. And it's so much of all the distinctions and things that we're talking about in a very simple form. He said, here's my secret to success, and he gave it in 3 steps. He said, step number 1. Step number 1, we had to get clear on what the done business was. You see, so many people, entrepreneurs, keep talking about how they're building their business, but they can't even tell you what they're building. And they don't even know what it's going to look like when it's done. So in that first step, Tom said we had to get clear on what the done business was. This first line right here is your next milestone iteration. The next off-ramp, the next level for you of the business you're building. And we're going to use a revenue number here because we're in business and we're measuring by sales and revenue. We can get to profit, but we got to start here first. And how we run a $100,000 business is very different than a $250,000 business. I'm going to put this one in for its and giggles, and hopefully you guys can read that. Can you guys read that okay? Let me know in the chat box. It's 250K. That's a K, like 250,000. There is no wrong answers. You will see a couple of people in the chat box getting in their stuff right now and overthinking it. That's okay. Overthink all day long, but notice that the answer ain't going to be in your head. You can overthink and get into your fears all you want, or we can write down an answer. Notice I haven't said anything about time. Time is a tricky thing. That's because it's an illusion. So if you erase time for just a moment and say, what's the next iteration of my annual revenue level of my business, you can start to put that down. Tom Watson said, step number 1, we had to figure that out. Step number 2, he realized I had to figure out what that level of business was doing. How did they act? How did they operate? What actions did they take? What steps did they take? What choices did they make? What were their habits? How did they show up? What were their logical levels? That's step number 2. That's what the rest of this page is going to do. But step 3 was the step that got me. Step 3 was the one that turned it all around for me. It's what I really truly attribute to taking our business from $2 to $10 million in one freaking year. He said, step number 3, I realized that the only way we stood a chance in hell of ever getting here was if we started acting this way now, right now, from the beginning. Change begins from within you first. So do you have that number? That is step 1. We're doing that together. We're not overthinking it. Once you got it, put it in the chat box for me, please. What is that number? The next iteration, the next business? It could be 100K. It could be $1 million. It could be 10 million. There is no right or wrong answer. There is no need to overthink it. It's just the next level of your business, next level of growth. You don't need to think of growth as linearly. You can go quantum all day long. I like to say F realistic, because anything's possible. Anything's possible because of this. How many of you, just put in the chat box, have already filtered your answer through the lens of, is this actually possible? And is it possible for me? Do I have what it takes? And I don't want to disappoint myself. Say yes or me in the chat box. I don't know if I have what it takes. I don't know if this is possible. What is the realistic answer? I don't want to disappoint myself. Let me know if that's you in the chat box, because we're going to change all of that right now. One of the things that drives from fear-based mindset so many entrepreneurs is a fear that they'll be disappointed and discouraged and let down. So let's get all quantum physics on you right now, because what quantum physics will tell you, and we're going to get weird and woo because people like that Wedmore woo, that if the thought form or desire was born from within you, you chose that number. If it came from within, that means it already exists. It already exists as a possible timeline for you. How about that? So if the thought emerged from within, it already exists. So people keep asking that question, do I have what it takes? It's impossible for the desire to be born from within without you already having the internal resources to make it possible. It's simply a matter of not, do I have what it takes? Am I willing to give what it takes? So goal setting 101. There's goal setting 0, which is the average person doesn't have goals. That's okay. They just don't have goals. You bump into someone on the street and you're like, hey, you, what are your goals? And they're like, leave me alone, mister. You go to like 90% of entrepreneurs and they'll tell you their goals. You guys have goals. You're putting in the chat box. That's goal setting 101. This is what takes it to goal setting number 2. I'm saying the same thing like 4 times until it'll sink in for everybody, because I want everyone to get this. Goal setting 202 is the moment you identify what you want. You realize you've just casted a vision as a possible timeline, future vision reality. And the only way you're ever going to get this is if you give what you want what it needs. What is what you want need from you? Friends, our time together, we will fill all of this out, and all of this will be filled out as a service to this. You give this what it needs by filling this out, and you will get what you want. I promise you that. That's why I said there's 2 reasons why people struggle in business. Number 1, they don't have the first clue how to run it. Number 2, they have an unwillingness to change, let go, or grow. If you have that courage and willingness, then your success does become inevitable. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because we're going to answer one more question here. This gets to be a little bit of a fun driver for you. If this is our number, what does this give you? Write that down for you personally, as specific and real as possible. What does this number give you? Write that down, and then if you could share it with me in the chat box. I want the answer to be something that moves you. I want this to be something that pulls you forward. What does it give you? What does it make possible or accessible for you as a driver that like actually moves you? What does this give you? People are not, believe it or not, are not actually that motivated by money. I've done a ton of studies on this. Money is once people have their survival needs and minimums met, money becomes a very low form of motivation. So there's something deeper than this that is driving you, and it's your opportunity now to begin tapping into that. When you have that, type that into the chat box for me. I'm going to read freedom, purpose, saying goodbye to the 9 to 5, the soul-sucking 9 to 5, independence, joy, options, freedom, giving my daughter everything she needs, that's beautiful, joy, choice, so good, impact, I'm seeing a lot of impact, ooh, paying off my mortgage, I love that, validation, ability, opportunity. Okay, let me ask you guys this, whatever you're writing down, how good does that feel on a scale of 1 to 10? It should be a 9 or a 10 for you. Okay, you need to be able to access that for yourself. Put that in the chat box. Abundance, peace of mind, proof. Eliminating debt, validation. Ooh, epic road trip, I like that. Impact. Okay. Time with family. So good. Now, this is the rub. I got a lot of 10s coming through. That's really good. This thing that you said, this amount of money will give you. Can you give yourself a piece of that now? This thing you said that a certain amount of money will give you, can you please choose to give yourself that now? You can't get there from here. Step 3, Tom Watson said, until we started acting and living that way now, we knew there'd be no way we're going to get there. Most people are living from the outside in, and they live conditionally. You wait to experience freedom until you have a certain amount in your bank account. You wait to spend time with your family until the business is at a certain level. You wait to have joy or validation or impact until there's a certain amount of money in the bank account. And I can promise you that when you choose to give yourself that now, you will get where you want to go faster. Who already knows that to be true? Please let me know. So, good. Oh, that's awesome. Goosebumps! We have to feel that from within first. If you're waiting until the money, then you have given all of your power away to something external. As long as you continue to give your power away, that thing will have power over you, and there'll be very little power left for you to do anything about it. All change happens from within first. So, before we continue, we're going to do something really fun with this. This is your dashboard. Every training, we're going to do a little more, and then there's a bonus, because I always love to over-deliver, so there's actually going to be a second page for you that's this really exciting stuff. But at the very least, as of right now, here's what you should have done. You should have filled out these first two. Did you do that? If you did, at any point, at any time, you can head on over to jameswedmore.com/dashboard giveaway and enter into $10,000 of prizes over the next 10 days. The images you see on your screen, we are going to be giving away to one lucky person each day for the next 10 days to any single person that has submitted their dashboard. So there's some cool stuff on there, like my DJI microphone set to a DJI drone, or like $1,000 cash, or a huge big screen TV, or a 1-hour content and messaging coaching session with Team Wedmore's growth team, or a really fancy Breville espresso maker, or a 3-night stay at my Airbnb in Sedona, which is like $1,500 a night. What? That's amazing. 10 days, $10,000 worth of prizes. All you have to do is take a picture of your dashboard and upload it. Now, every time we do a training, you get a chance to upload it again, which means you can submit your dashboard up to 3 different times. And even if you won, we leave your name in the hat, And you could win it again and again and again. So the quicker you get it in there, the more often you submit it, the more you increase your chances for success. Yes, my love language is gift giving. I love doing prizes and giveaways. And if it motivates you to get off your patookie and do it, so be it. I'll do it. It's worth it for me because it's worth it for you. And we'll get to have a lot of fun. And I get to have my little Oprah moments of giving you stuff, okay? So make sure to do that. We'll post that in the Facebook group as well for you guys. Make sure you're in our free Facebook group because we'll be in there in between the calls. JamesOver.com/dashboard giveaway. Let's move on to number 2. The second thing that successful digital CEOs are doing, they live in the 5%. I'm going to take you guys through another exercise, okay? So get ready for this. Let me go to the board for this. I'm a very visual person. I like drawing. Most of you are familiar here with the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. 80% of your results will come from 20% of the work. This is like Pareto on steroids. So most entrepreneurs make the mistake of just operating from a to-do list. I'm going to use this pen. Operating from a to-do list. Some of us have really long to-do lists. Some of us have realized that to-do list just is never ending. And then unfortunately, when we live from the to-do list, what do we start to do? We do the thing that's just at the top. Or we do the thing that's just convenient. Or it's easy. It doesn't take a lot of mental work. It doesn't take a lot of risk. It doesn't take much. And so we spend all our time in this busyness. But one of the things I want you to know to be true is that whether you have 100 or 1,000 items on your to-do list, there are just about 5% of them that will contribute to 95% of the results that you want in your business. Because not all tasks and activities are created equal. Some of these are very low value tasks, and as a successful entrepreneur, as a successful digital CEO, you must be able to discern the difference between the two. And because time and your energy are finite, and I don't think there's anybody here that wants to work more than they have to, then you have to be able to choose and understand which tasks you spend your time on and which ones you say no to. Good news is a lot of stuff that just you don't need to be doing at all. My little sister joined Business by Design in 2021, and she started with nothing. Some of you guys have listened to her case study on my podcast. If not, we're going to link that up for you to listen to it. She had no list, no audience, no following, no website, and she still has no website, none of that stuff. Yet, within the first 60 days of joining, she was able to launch her beta program. There was a lot of things that people convince you to tell you to do that really don't matter, and it's such a waste of time. And you can just go out there and start making sales without needing all these fancy things like, oh, I got to get the $10,000 website and the fancy photo shoot, and I got to get the $1 million copywriter to write my About Me page, and then I need all this branding package and stuff. And she still doesn't have that, but she's in business. And the text I got from her is my little sister. That was one of the coolest moments of both of our lives was when she said, I just got off my first coaching call with my students, and I just experienced a feeling I've never felt before in my life. This is one of the most fulfilling, rewarding, and joyful times I've ever had because I'm doing what I feel like I'm here to do. And we put so much of these to-dos in front of us and the work that you're here to do. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to take that number. Now, you're going to need to use a calculator, okay? You're going to take the number that you put here, and you're going to divide that number by 2080. Okay, so whatever this number is, I'm going to use the 250. Whatever your annual revenue number is, you're going to divide that by 2080. Now, why did I choose 2080? Well, you could choose a different number, but this is basically what 40-hour work week for 52 weeks comes out to. Is that right? 52 work weeks, something like that. So 52 weeks, I think there is. That's 2,088 work hours in a year. Now, if you said, James, I want to work 20 hours, well, you got to do the math, and you would cut that to 1,040. I want to work less weeks. I want to take some weeks off. But this is just a general number to work from. When you have that number, put that in the chat box for me. This is a very, very important number, and I'm going to explain all of it in just a moment. You're going to take your next goal, annual revenue number divided by 2080, or you can adjust that if you'd like, but let's start with 2080. just so we don't overthink this. Start getting into some math, some people overthink it. And when you have your answer, write it down, but then put it in the chat box for me. I want to see what answers we get. Now, at $250,000 a year, that number is, oh good, we got some coming in, $120 an hour. What do you guys think this number is? Good, good, good. I'm seeing all of them come in. What do you guys think this number is? What this number is the decision point of where you spend your time. It is the criteria of what you say yes to and what you say no to. We could say that it is the standard or guideline of what an hour of your time is worth to you and your business, which means that if you don't spend the predominant amount of your time on tasks that are worth a minimum of this in your business, there is no way that you're going to get to the revenue number you want. Please let me know that this makes sense. In other words, if you spent all day, every day for the rest of the year on $10 an hour tasks, are you ever going to get to that next revenue goal? When I said things have to change, what we choose to spend our time on must change as well. Out of all the things on the to-do list, not all of these tasks are created even, are they? We're going to have things that are like $10 an hour tasks to things that are $100 an hour tasks, all the way to 1,000 and 10,000. And if my number, which is 120 an hour, and I'm spending it here, then I'm never going to get 250. Let me know that makes sense. We're getting a ton of the mind-blowing breakthrough emojis. The less I do, the more I make. Because the interesting, just bizarre like conundrum of it all is that the 5% activities, which are the things that exist at the $1,000 and $10,000 level, this is going to be cosmically hilarious for some of you, take far less time than the things at this level and this level. The less you do, the more you will make, because you're spending the little time that you do put your value on the highest value 5% activities that actually take less time from you than if we're here. This is a huge, huge change. I'm loving how much this is making sense for you guys. That makes me so, so happy. Here's the problem. Here's the rub, the big catch. These things all exist outside your comfort zone, which is why you don't do them. This shit is safe and cozy and inside your comfort zone. So even though you feel the sting and the pain of overworking and exhaustion and the frustration of not seeing the results, that pain you still associate as less pain than the pain you've associated with the things that put you out of your comfort zone. Some of you are already asking me, what's he talking about? Give me an example. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Prove it to me. Type it in the chat box. What type of things am I talking about? What $1,000 an hour activities and tasks have you been avoiding in your business because this keeps you safe? And I want to hear specific examples because I know we know it to be true, because the moment we start talking about these things, the clarity emerges. And if the fact that the clarity is emerging, it means that you are growing and you are changing because you're seeing things more clearly. The clouds of fear are parting. And when they part, clarity emerges. This is where we need to spend time. This is what will make business fun again. This is what will make business financially free for you. And this is where the fulfillment is. We need to spend more time here and let go of this. And notice that the answers are all coming in. And people know. I said it at the beginning of the call. I'm going to say it again. Most of us are spending 80% of our time creating and 20% or less selling. And if you flip that on your head, everything's going to change. When you spend 80% of your time selling and offering and showing up and putting your stuff out there, you will see far more results than you ever have. The problem is the creating and the tweaking and the reworking and the starting over and the staying busy is safe. But what is it keeping you safe from really? It's all 3D ego-driven stuff. I get it. Safe from criticism, from judgment, from the opinions of others, from refunds, from nasty haters, someone not liking you. It's all 3D. It's all ego. And so I said earlier, life is a choice. And I said I would make things really simple for you, and I'll continue to make things really simple for you. I told you we had to get to like brass tacks reality. But then we get to make this really simple. You wrote down a goal. Either you're committed to that goal or not. And that's a choice. But there's another choice. Because if you recall, as things start to connect together, I said that your income is intimately tied to your impact. And so every single day, today, tomorrow, like right now today and tomorrow, and the next day, and 364 days from here on out, you will have a choice that you're making moment by moment. The sad reality is most of us are just making that choice unconsciously. 90% of our day, we're on autopilot. We're thinking the same things we did yesterday. We're doing the same things we did yesterday. But we somehow want everything to change. So moment by moment, it's a choice. And it's a choice of, am I going to focus on looking good or being of impact to somebody else? Am I going to choose to stay safe or make a difference in someone else's life? Am I going to choose to stay where I am, but I won't be judged, I won't be hated on, or am I going to choose to help somebody? I can tell you today, every single person that I know, every single person that I work with that has any level of success, it is because they chose the latter day in and day out. Even when it was hard, even when it was uncomfortable, even when it was scary, because it is. And all of us, like I said, reason number 2 why businesses fail, an unwillingness to grow or change. You don't get to have your fears and your financial results. We all get to conquer fear. And all that means is you don't do what fear is telling you to do. And fear is telling you to stay where you are. Fear is telling you this is confusing. Fear is telling you this is overwhelming. Fear is telling you you're not ready for this. Fear is telling you you need another stupid certification, more permission, or more degrees, or more something or other. And you get to look at that and choose to be courageous and do it anyways, because you know that there's someone out there that could be drowning, someone out there that could use your help no matter where you are right now, and that you could make a difference for that person. If I didn't get that 15 years ago, I would not be where I am today. I wish there was more of a secret that I could reveal to you, but it's rather just been the consistency of that choice and that discipline of showing up day in and day out. And I look at that career, I look at 15 years of doing this, it's totaled to over $50+ million. We don't really keep track after that point. That's a lot of cheddar. That's a lot of money. And there hasn't been a week that has gone by in that entire time where I haven't put out a piece of content, a YouTube video, over 600 podcast episodes, something on Instagram, a live, a Facebook, a course, a training, a webinar, something that has been driven by, if I learned this and it was helpful to me, it could help somebody else, so why not do it? And that boring, unsexy process of consistency and discipline is what got me here. And if we're waiting for it to be all magical and wonderful overnight, which can happen, but without putting in that discipline and that choice to choose faith over fear, then don't expect anything to change. Does this make sense? I hope so. Because this is where I need you living if you want to start seeing results. We need to start living in the 5%. Because here's where it's going to be a little bit of a slap in the face. If you're not operating here, it means you don't value your time. If you're doing the low value activities yourself, that means you don't value your time. And if you don't value your time, how you ever expect any of your students or clients to value your time, let alone pay you for it? So this has got to change. Good. Lastly, the last thing we're going to do today is understand that most people look at their business like a little goo goo gaga baby. How many times people call their business their baby? It's so problematic for so many reasons. First of all, it's your baby. You don't want anybody to touch your baby, do you? Did you wash your hands? Don't come near my baby. Not only that, but that baby is completely dependent on you. What kind of business is that where it can't survive without you? So we need to change that. We need your business to grow up a little bit. It needs to be like a teenager. It's got a car, maybe already has a job, maybe he's in college and has an apartment, because it needs to be independent of you. If the moment you stop, the business stops, we have to really ask ourselves if we really have a business. So we need to start looking at our business like a machine. If you ask me one of my favorite movies, that top 10, in the top 10, I wouldn't say it's my most favorite, but I am a big movie buff, is the original, not the Johnny Depp one, the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The one with Gene Wilder. Is it Willy Wonka and the Chocolate, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? I always get the two mixed up. The old one. And in that movie, so cool once you go into the Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory, because he has all these machines. And it's these machines that make all this cool candy like the everlasting Gobstopper. And anything I noticed with all those machines is there was two things, always. There was, like, stuff goes in, and then something comes out. And when you start looking at your business like a machine, you're going to realize that stuff goes in. We call these Energon cubes. But really, that's just a word I made up. An Energon cube is time, energy, it's resources, and it's money. If you're trying to get something for nothing, it's probably never going to happen. But if we're building a machine, then we realize that there is going to be time and energy and resources and money that goes into it. And then what comes out? What comes out is what we want. And what we want is the money. It's the income and the impact. We put stuff in, and money comes out. What's happening in this magical machine? Well, most people are running their business, that is a gear, by the way, by one gear, which means there's no leverage, and it's this 1-to-1 ratio. 1 unit in, 1 unit out. Stop the unit in, stop the unit out. We got a problem. And so everything that we're going to do from here on out is looking at your business like a machine that we are going to build together with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gears. These 5 gears, where when I looked at my business, I looked at my most successful 7-figure clients' businesses, was the most elegant, efficient, least amount of gears and ways in which we could build a highly profitable, highly scalable, and highly leveraged business that reduces this and maximizes that. By the end of the 3-part training, you're going to know the 5 gears, you're going to have the process for how we can put all 5 of these gears in place, and you're going to start to realize it's actually like easier to build a multiple 6- to 7-figure business than the unscalable 1-to-1 thing that we're trying to do right now. But we have to start looking at it like a machine. We are going to start training 2 with that first gear, which to me is the most important and like most overlooked gear, and that is the process, the art, and the science of how you craft your most irresistible offer yet. That is something to be looking forward to in training 2. It is so important. It's where we start, and that's where everyone's going to come in who want to join your stuff. Now, the other example I want to give here of looking at your business like a machine, I said at the beginning of this training, I talked about it like a car, right? We can spend all day working in the garage to build the car, but it's not until we go out and get to use it that you get to take advantage, the perks and the benefits of having the car if it just stays in the garage and we're constantly building it. But some of you guys may know this. I don't know if most of you guys know, but in 2020, when COVID and all this crazy stuff happened, I did something crazy myself, and I bought a bunch of homes. And I turned those homes into an Airbnb business. And I have this wonderful, hilarious story where one of my friends visited me, and he sees me like basically in the work clothes with the hammer and nails and the paint. And I'm like fixing up this home, and I'm building furniture and doing all this stuff. And he just starts laughing at me. And he's like, "What, did you hang up the old online marketing towel to become a handyman? Are we a painter now, James?" And he had a good laugh, but I was the one that was really laughing because he didn't see what I saw. What I did was I spent 6-7 months putting together 4 different properties that generate close to $800,000 a year in booking now. But it only takes me 30 minutes a week in my weekly meeting to manage it. You see, there's this interesting thing that happens where people start a business and they don't understand, as I said all the way at the beginning, that there's a phase in which you need to build it. And that will take time from everybody. It took me time to build that Airbnb business. It took time for me to build everything that I have here with this business. But once it's built, this is where you get to run it. And today, just like that Airbnb business, where it takes just 30 minutes a week, and I don't always go, like I'm not going to the 30-minute meeting this week with it, it can run very independent of me. In other words, there's less and less input, but the output stays the same. Most people look at the building phase and they see how much it's taking and how much like work and effort, and they start to believe that this is how it's always going to be. And I want to get you here as quickly as possible, so you have to start asking yourself a new question. What am I building this towards? And how will I know when it's done? That's what we're going to be doing in training 2 and number 3. And I hope that makes sense, because this is a huge, huge distinction. Okay? Good? All right. How about some homework? It's like school. I'm going to give you it's one homework assignment, it's 2 parts. Post it in the Facebook group, keep us up to date. Huge, huge insights and breakthroughs available for doing the homework. We talked about the logical levels. 2 phases to this. First, you're going to start with one pyramid, the logical levels, and you're going to go from the bottom up. And you're going to identify at least 2, 3, 4 specific examples of your current environment. We're talking current circumstances, current results. Where is your business right now? Leads, sales, audience, assets, anything, the products you have, etc. From there, you're gonna look back, not from today, look back, not today forward, back in time to the most common actions, habits, behaviors, and choices that you've been making up until this point as it pertains to the business. You're going to look at some of the skills that you've been relying on. Maybe you can rate some of the skills that you have not been utilizing. Biggest beliefs, programming, and operating that you've been operating from, and the most relevant identity that you would say you assumed as you operate this business. You're going to go up to the top. Then guess what you're going to do? You're going to create a new triangle, and you're going to go from the top down, inside out. So you're going to start with that revenue number that you wrote down on your dashboard. You're going to identify at least 3 new beliefs that person that has that level of income, that level of business revenue, would already have. The skills that they have mastered, the actions that that person would take, and the environment that they would have, and watch what happens. If you have any questions on that homework, please let me know. And then here's what to expect in training number 2. The first and most important gear to your business machine, crafting the irresistible offer, the 4 phases of business growth, how to identify which phase that you are in and how to graduate to the next phase, my 6-step process for creating money on demand, and so much more. We did it. We got to the end of training 1. I hope that was helpful. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break in just a minute. We're going to end with a fun little video we have queued up for you. And then if you'd like to stick around and you're in the chat, we're just going to hang out for a bit, and I'm going to do like a little Q&A. I know I threw a lot at you. It's very intentional. If you didn't feel overwhelmed or intimidated once, I don't think I did my job. And that's how we grow. If you're feeling confused, it means you're learning. The replays are going to be available very shortly. and you can re-listen. What you'll notice is even just re-listening a second time, that's what successful students do. You'll notice something you didn't say. I said a lot. I talked really fast. I am quite the fire hose, but I got a lot to share with you that I know will be the difference that makes the difference for you. Our next training is Tuesday the 6th. So you got a couple of days to rewatch this, to get your dashboard in, and to do the frickin' homework. So annoying to have to do my regular 9 to 5. I'm so sorry. Good, feeling overwhelmed in a good way. I love it. I love it. Keep powering through. So with that being said, we're gonna play that video, and then we're gonna come back for a little Q&A session. So if you guys have any questions, you guys can put them into the chat box. My team will relay them over to me, and we'll have a little Q&A. So team, can we play that video that is kind of queuing up what you can expect in the next training? Oh, I love Star Wars.
I love that you love Star Wars.
It's so good.
It is.
It's perfect. A
Babe,
masterpiece.
wait a minute,
Yeah.
wait. Ah, my hand, Dad, my hand.
I don't know. Who are you?
I'm Luke.
Skywalker?
Yeah, you know, when his dad cuts his hand off with and then he has the
Wait.
animatronic hand.
Wait, his dad. Who's his dad?
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader is his dad?
What? Yes. Darth Vader is Luke's father. That's like the greatest reveal of cinema history. When he cuts his hand off and he says, Luke, I am your father. That's what makes the second movie so good.
Whoa! There's a second one?
Wait. How do you start watching the greatest trilogy of all time and then not even bother to watch the second one?
Oh my god. The second one is so much better.
It's so much better.
I love you.
I know.
Just like in the movie! All right. Hope you guys enjoyed our little Star Wars video, a little teaser for training 2. I wanted to spend some time. Jilly, can I get you to queue up some questions? Okay, so we're gonna take like a 5-minute break. That way the team can do a bio break and everything. But you guys feel free to put any question that you guys have. I'm gonna request do your best to keep it to what we covered today, so that we don't get off topic or distracted, because we did cover a lot, and I want to keep it to that, and we have much more coming. We'll do a 5-minute break. Our team is going to grab those questions. Stick tight. If you need to get a bio break as well, now is the time to do that, and we'll see you in 5. Thanks, everybody. All right, we are back. Thank you to everyone hanging out, sticking around. This is a little time where we just get to have a little informal Q&A. So first and foremost, thank you guys. Hope you're doing well. I'm just kind of looking at the chat box here. We have a ton of your questions that have already coming in. My team's doing their best to pull them up for me. It's too hard for me to see the chat because it goes like really fast. But first of all, how you guys feeling? How you doing? Hopefully you had some I know a lot of people in the chat box were having insights and ahas already in the first training. So much more to come. But let's chat about some of the things that you guys have brought up. And then if you guys are able to get their names for future questions, that way I can shout out those individuals so they know that it was their question I called on. That would be helpful too. Yeah, so the first question, I know there's a lot of obviously I start my training a very different, because what happens is people want to go, What do I need to do? Just tell me what to do, right? Well, you've been trying focusing on all the doings, and how's that been working? So one question we have is, now that I know my niche, what's the next step, right? And should I just start building, just start creating content? And this is a really good question, because if we're not careful, this is what's going to lead people astray, and they're just going to get stuck in the doing. Now they're going to get caught up, and all I'm doing is creating all this content nonstop in perpetuity, and you wake up one day and you're like, look at all this I've done, look at all this I've created, I have nothing to show for it. So inside Training 2, I'm going to introduce you to the 4 phases. Now, it's someone who says I've just nailed their niche, they're officially in the 2nd phase. There is a very specific strategy we're gonna teach you that shows you what you need to be doing in the 2nd phase, and very little of it is content creation. So the short answer is no, content creation is not the next step. It all has to do with in the next 30 to 60 days, 90 at the most, but 30 to 60 days, once you've chosen your niche, how quickly can you get that first offer up and out? I'm going to teach all of that process in training number 2. This is the 2nd phase of business growth. And I don't want people just creating, doing, because that puts them back in the 80% that doesn't produce the results. Okay. So stick with me, and you're gonna get the whole plan on that in the 2nd training. Okay. Ellie, and I know some others are saying, what are the actual 5%? Right? What are the 5% activities that he keeps talking about? Let's talk about this one for a moment. First of all, I put this in the chat box for you guys, and a lot of you proved me correct, that as soon as I called you out on it, you know exactly what it is. But the reason it's not the most simple answer is because, as I said at the beginning of the training, growth happens in stages. And the 5% activities are actually different in each stage. So depending on what stage you're in, those specific actions and activities are going to be different. But in a general sense, the 5% activities and actions are going to be the ones that cause the most results in that stage. Most of those are going to be more on the side of what will produce the sale, generate the lead and generate the sale. Again, it's different in every stage, and that's what Training 2 goes over, is what's identifying what stage you're in and what the 5% activities are for that stage. But we can begin to identify the 5% through a process of deletion or negation. We know what's not a 5% activity, which are those $10 an hour tasks and activities. We know that staying in Canva all day is probably not a 5% an activity. We know that working on your website or trying to perfect that little landing page or about me page, probably not a 5% activity. So the 5% activities are going to be the things that are most directly correlated to the results that you want. And they will be things that exist outside your comfort zone. So one of the other questions that came in is, if I'm just getting started and I don't really have a ton of money, how do I start to delegate or outsource these things? Don't I have to do them myself? And of course you can. It's your choice. All of it is choice. We have students and clients that are getting sales and getting into business in, like I said before, in their first 30, 60, and at the latest 90 days. But one of the things that I teach that I'm a huge proponent of is that you can start outsourcing very quickly. And I reference the site onlinejobs.ph, where you can start outsourcing to virtual assistants relatively inexpensively. Now, this scares a lot of people because they think, oh my gosh, now I have a team. But even my little sister, when she got started, she wasn't uploading her videos to her Kajabi portal. She wasn't creating the thumbnails, and she wasn't doing all the little tech pieces there. She knew even from the moment she got started that that's not the best use of her time. And chances are, when you got into business, you're like, that's not what I want to be spending my time doing either, right? So the funny thing is you only pay them for the projects or tasks that you need. So a lot of times people get really intimidated by hiring anybody, but you're not hiring anybody. You are just paying for those specific tasks to come off of your plate. And one of the things that I didn't really go over, which may be worth addressing here, is that if you've identified what an hour of your time is worth, and let's say it's $100, and you can get someone else to do a $10 an hour task for $10 or less an hour, but you choose to do it yourself. The old like employee way of thinking is that you're being smart and savvy by doing it yourself. And this attitude, if you want it done right, do it yourself, is just so outdated and broken, because then you're working from a limited constraint, which is your time and energy. But the reality is if you chose to just spend an hour on a $10 an hour task, that's costing you $90 an hour. It's costing you $90 an hour. If that task takes 2 hours, it's costing you $180, because it took you away from the higher value 5% activities. So that site that we use and recommend is onlinejobs.ph. And you can find, there's other sites like Fiverr where you can find people to do simple tasks on there very inexpensively. This is, if you're just getting started, you don't need to go hire some full-time person. You can, and by the way, inside Business by Design, we have an entire outsourcing, delegating training that shows you how to find the people and how you can start handing the tasks off to them. Okay, with that being said, let's move on to a few more questions. Okay, what are the first 3 things that you recommend we outsource as the new digital CEO? I'm going to give you an answer. It's a very simple answer to this. And some of you won't like it, but it is the truth. This is going to be very, very helpful. What I'd like you to start doing is you're going to make a, we're just going to call it like a what would you call this? Like a task or activity log. And on this log, you're going to write down every action that you're doing. You're going to write down the hours or time you spent doing it. Okay? So I did blah, 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 and it took 2.5 hours. Okay? And then you're going to say, is this a 10, 100, 1,000, or $10,000 activity? And the answer to this question of what do I start taking off my plate first is, what are the lowest value activities that take the most time that I do the most often? That's the first thing to go. That's the first way to get our time back. Most people are trying to grow by drinking more coffee and working later hours or listening to more motivational videos. That's not sustainable. If we start to identify the lowest value activities that take the most time, that we do the most often, the most reoccurring tasks, those are the first to go. You've got to let go to let in. Let me grab my other pen so I have this too, okay? That's going to be different for everyone depending on what stage that you're in, all right? Okay, let's move on. What holds me back is wanting to ensure my approach to marketing and building the digital business is ethical given the area of work that I'm in. Often I find marketing approaches are not the most ethical or don't sit well with me for some reason. This is going to be a huge part of training 2 and training 3 is how to position and present an irresistible offer. You know, look, you're going to have to look at this from 2 places. Number 1, you got to get clear down on the court. Where is that line for you of what is something that someone is doing that you say is unethical, right? There's some people that say deadlines are unethical, and that's just the most silly nonsense. There's nothing about morality about a deadline. We have a deadline for joining Business by Design. I say, hey, the doors are only open for these few days, and then the doors are closed, and we'll see you next year. And that's a decision that you make, because I don't want to leave the doors open all year, because I don't want to be selling this all year. I want to be working with my students and actually getting them results. And if I was spending all year just trying to push and sell and get people in, then that would actually be more unethical to my students that are already in. But I spend a year with them other than the 4 days in which we open the doors. So you have to get really clear with like, what specifically is it that you're seeing and not seeing as ethical or unethical. And beyond that, the second thing to look at is, we'll talk about this in the third training, but selling is an absolute requirement. Like everyone knows that, right? Like you can't like not sell, but somehow people are going to give you money. And everyone has a relationship with sales. But sales is just a tool. And so people say things like selling is sleazy. And despite saying that, we've all had an experience where we loved buying something. So selling can't be sleazy. The person using the tool is sleazy because they're just using it in an ineffective way, the same way that a hammer is a tool. And a hammer could be used to build a house and it could be used to destroy a house. It comes down to the person that's using it. And the strategies in the way I teach, which we'll get into this is a lot more like down the road in our training, is I just use logic and great offers. A lot of people are trying to convince people, this is going to be training too, of something that people don't want. And that becomes like really hard. How do you give something to somebody in exchange for money when they don't even want it? And then when people aren't buying it, they maybe cross that ethical line. When all you had to do was create the thing they already wanted. And when you create the thing they already wanted, and it's more than what they wanted, it starts to become irresistible. And here's what's really exciting about that, because most people don't know how to do this. When you've truly created an irresistible offer, it sells itself. Merely talking about it has people say, I want it. And when you've done that, you don't even have to worry about selling. I have a great example from one of our events where I talked about the offer for like 2 minutes and it got a standing ovation. I was like, wow, why are you guys applauding? They're like, because this is what we freaking need. And that's because there is an art and a science to crafting an irresistible offer and doing it the right way. And most people have not the slightest clue on how to do that. We're going to go over a lot of that on training too, and that's really, really important. So get ready for that. Okay. Rob is saying, thanks for the fabulous session, James. You're welcome, Rob. He says, I'm a bit confused about dividing by 2080 to get my hourly rate. My hope is that I could hit my annual goal by scaling through Facebook ads. Am I barking up the wrong tree? Well, no. Not at all. But let me just make sure you're very clear on what we're talking about here. This is going to be huge, Rob, so I hope you're listening. Let's say Rob says, James, my goal is to get to $250,000 a year. That's awesome. And I did that 2080 thing, and it came out to, I think it was like $125 an hour. Okay? And so he's saying, well, I just want to scale up my ads. Isn't that all I have to do? Well, sure. Yeah. But scaling up ads isn't an action item. Like, I don't just wake up in the morning and say, like, scaled ads, check, right? This is a chunked up broad term. What actions did I take? Well, one of them could be I increase my daily budgets. Okay. But then there's also managing the ads specifically. Oh, this campaign, monitoring my numbers. Oh, this campaign is dropping. So I need to create a new ad. This ad the landing pages. So I need to do a new landing page. So what you're going to realize that scaling up your ads isn't like a task that you just do one morning. Like I'm just going to spend 5 minutes scaling up my ads. It's a chunked up category of specific action items. And once you get down to it, there's going to be some things like increasing budgets, creating new ad sets, creating retargeting campaigns, creating new ad creative, creating new landing pages. All of those have a subset of tasks. We must slow down to speed up. Because watch this. All of a sudden, we're going, okay, I'm going to create a new video ad. And then you're like, yeah, I'm going to create a video ad because James said his video ads have been performing the best for his launch. So I'm going to create a video ad. All of a sudden, you find yourself spending 8 hours just editing a video. But you just told me all you needed to do was scaling up your ads. Now you're spending 8 hours editing a video. How is editing a video scaling your ads? And is editing that video for 8 hours really the best use of your time? See, entrepreneurs, most of us, we're like really big visionaries, and that's great. So we chunk up and we just say scaling our ads is just one thing. But when it gets down to it, there's all these little things. And all of a sudden, scaling up your ads, which you thought was just like pulling a lever, becomes like weeks of all this work, including new ad, new video, new creative, new targeting, new landing page, new split test, new email campaign, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And how much of that is still on your plate? Well, the answer still comes down to this. This is what's determining your 5% activities. The $10 and $100 an hour activities really have to be off of his plate if he wants to stay here. And that, like I said, becomes the criteria for what we say yes to and what we say no to. I hope that makes sense. I hope it does. Fudge. Yeah, look, I went to film school. I love editing videos. I love filming videos. I really enjoy it. And then when I'm spending 7 hours making like a 2-minute thing, I'm like, this is not the best use of my time. So there's a lot of little tasks that we can get off of our plate. Okay. So a lot of people were also asking why 2080. Do you guys know why we chose that number 2080? I can get my phone. Why 2080? It's, I'm going to pull out my calculator. 40 times 52 is 2080. 40-hour work week, 52 weeks a year, if you were to do the 40-hour thing. Now, I start there because there's a lot of people that are already working more than 40 hours. Is there anyone here that's already working more than that? If you wanted to work less, you're like, I want to do a 4-day work week, but I'll still work 8 hours a day. So 8 times 4, 8 times 4 times 52, you could do a little less, 1664. If you're willing to work more, work longer or more, you can increase that number. But that's why that number is. And the most important thing is, like, what I really want people to get about that number is that it's just the decision point for what you say yes to and what you say no to. That's all it is. If you want to keep doing things that are below your pay grade, that's totally fine. Just understand what you're saying yes to. Understand you're saying yes to something that is below your pay grade, which means every yes to that $10 an hour task is a no to something else. Okay. Okay. This is from Leah. Leah says, I have created a ton of content to educate, inspire, and guide, but I'm struggling with launching, putting my products and services out there. How should I stop focusing on what's my niche before I launch? I don't understand the question. I don't understand the question, Leah. Okay. So I'm getting some clarification. Yeah, okay, got it. So the question I think I'm getting is, I've been putting out content, I've been reaching my audience, but I'm struggling with like which niche to double down in. So I hope I'm hearing that correctly. So I want to address this really quickly. I'll go to the board for this one. Okay. So if you're already putting your content out there, that is wonderful. Let me get a clean piece of paper here. Oh my gosh, we used so much today, you guys. If you're already putting your stuff out there, there is a direct you're going in. Like you're going in a direction. Okay. So, this is like normal.